my interpretation of events. In the end, you must draw your own conclusions about the success of this enterprise. But before you read this document for yourselves, and I suggest that you do right away, I must deeply and honestly apologize for making one last decision without going through the usual channels of consultation and discussion. And I'm more than sorry that this document must be accompanied by the news of that decision. Ed, in particular, deserves better. But after a long season of horror and sorrow, I simply became exhausted. I think you will see that I have concluded matters in such a way that no disrepute falls upon Omni. Please do not approach my family with either help or inquiry. All their earthly cares have been addressed. Yours truly, James O'Malley, Senior Vice President for Business Affairs, Omni News and Entertainment Network. Book 1. The Change Agent.
Chapter 1. How to begin this account? I must be quick and arbitrary. On the eve of my departure for the east of Europe, Robert proposed. We marry in early summer of next year. The church will be St. Ignatius Loyola. The reception will be at Wave Hill. As soon as I get home, we must launch the long campaign to make sure that the event comes off in a civilized manner. Neither family must end up feeling alienated, defeated, or enraged. We do have a numbers issue. With a maximum occupancy of 150 people at the reception, I have already begun hostile negotiations over the guest list, operating on a principle inherited from my mother that those who are not married may not bring guests to weddings. No ring, no bring, as she says. Discussions about music, food, and vows must be had. Robert wants jazz standards. I prefer a honky-tonk band from Austin. Here is one of those moments when my Texas upbringing seems a clear nuisance, even an embarrassment to him. Most of the time he takes quite the opposite approach, using my relatively exotic heritage as a daughter of oil to great effect at dinner parties. Food, of course, will be a source of contention. As a much-lauded pâtissier in one of the city's finer kitchens, he has tabled discussion of wedding cake specifics and exercises kitchen despotism when I try to broach the subject. He's ruled out smoked meat of any kind, despite my express wish to have brisket and ribs shipped up from my favorite Central Texas barbecue shrine for the rehearsal dinner. Even now, 4,000 miles from New York City, my mind reels with the number of swords that will have to be crossed between now and next June. His family, the most secular Jews I have ever known, have suddenly become outraged by the prospect of a church wedding, while my family, completely lacking in faith, whisper of the conversion option. But in light of my present circumstances, I should dwell on the good. It's all extremely good. It's lovely, in fact. Robert took me by surprise. We'd gone to Sammy's Romanian, where we had our first date, and he asked the keyboardist to play San Antonio Rose on behalf of his Texan lady friend. The keyboardist made a spirited attempt. We ate a greasy bowl of chopped liver and had those pan-fried steaks with the long bones jutting out, so the meat resembles an axe. It was a generally happy meal, though we did have a moment of tension over a box of gifts that he had recently bought me from Amsterdam. Let's just say that it was a batch of bedware the likes of which I have never seen and would never have chosen myself, including one contraption made of a material more typically associated with horseback riding. I voiced some slight, though playful surprise at this sudden development, at which Robert became sullen and said he would send the entire Amsterdam batch back across the Atlantic by airmail. Forget he'd ever done it. The whole thing was a horrible mistake. I felt bad. The subject was dropped. Over egg creams, he asked me if I was anxious about Romania. I told him that I had had an unsettling nightmare involving a Price Waterhouse report about Transylvania. In my dream, I scanned line after line, and every line was the same, missing reported in all major cities. He suggested that I might be giving too much credence to national stereotypes, and I replied that I hadn't a clue what stereotype might correspond to Romania. As if in response, he pulled out a small, light blue box. I knew, but could it be true?